Everybody. Uh, this program is sponsored by the International Association for Peace and Economic Development. It's one of the primary associations of the Universal Peace Federation, which is an NGO in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. My name is Roger Weatherall. I'll be the moderator for the program today. And we're going to be looking into the world of artificial intelligence again today. This is part of a series looking at technology in the world today and how it's affecting business, finance, and social systems around us. And, artificial intelligence has the potential to improve the productivity in many diverse areas from, customer service to research and development, looking for new products, new drugs, new pharmaceuticals, etc. But there are also ethical, legal, and trust concerns that are being raised, and we need to handle those things in a very responsible and a timely manner so that they do not get out of control. So we've gotten to the point now where it's almost impossible to distinguish between something that is generated by AI and something that is a human-generated product. So how do we actually verify the accuracy, the trustworthiness, the integrity of what we're seeing in our social media feeds, or in the world around us? Well, our presenter today has given a lot of thought to these issues and these concerns, and how we can actually create a human-centric artificial intelligence that supports our value as human beings rather than having something that's going to work against us in society. So I'd like to introduce Christopher Wright to you today. So Chris is the CEO and founder of the AI Trust Council. Chris is leading a crucial mission against corruption in big tech government and the risks that are posed by AI. He has over 25 years of experience in entrepreneurship and the military, and his unique background as a U.S. Army attack helicopter and a civilian commercial pilot and the CEO of several successful startups makes him very adept at being able to tackle these complex issues and challenges. Chris founded the AITC, the AI Trust Council, in order to look into these issues and see, is there a way that we can, establish trust in the digital world that is around us? So Chris, I'd like to invite you to share your knowledge today, and we will have some, if anybody has any questions, they can post them in the chat and we'll come back to them at the end of the program. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Roger. Yeah, it's pretty unprecedented times that we're living in today with artificial intelligence. So I'll keep it at kind of a high level just to keep it easy for everyone. But really, you can think of AI and where we're going with this technology as really a tsunami. It almost reminds me of those videos from Japan when that big tsunami came, and the people were standing on the beach when all the water went out to sea, and everybody's kind of marveling at, wow, you can see the rocks and starfish and all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, this tsunami is building and ready to come on shore. And so we're kind of at that moment right now where we're noticing all of the really amazing things that AI can do, but we're really not understanding the full impact of where this goes. And it gets it's really like biblical territory where we're at right now with this technology. And so I've got a presentation that lays out basically some of the high points of what's actually happening with AI. And so I'll share that with you guys. But one of the big takeaways that you guys should have from this presentation is that we are all technically leaders today in artificial intelligence. We have the ability to impact the future of humanity today, and so our decisions collectively as humans that are alive during this period will impact the future of all humans in the future. And so it's really, really critical to make sure that we, understand what the pros and the cons are with this technology, but also ensure that, we're building a bright future, because this, like with any technology, this has the potential to go good or bad. And we want to keep it on the good side. And so with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you can see. This is a presentation that I gave at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas recently. Can you guys all see that okay?
Yes, that's good. Your sound is fading in and out a bit, Chris, so if you could just
Oh,
speak
really?
loudly, that would be good.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Um, but a little bit of background about me. I spent about 10 years over in the Middle East recently teaching Arab students how to fly the Longbow Apache attack helicopter. Before that, I was in the Army uh, and deployed to Afghanistan, and got a lot of experience with drone technology during that time. And so that's really what brought me to an understanding of where AI is and where it's going. Is my time in dealing with drone warfare, and seeing that AI is actually this extremely useful tool, but it's getting integrated into weapons of war. And so I saw that unfold, and really didn't think it was going to be uh, that prevalent that quickly. Um, as but once I got back from the Middle East, I actually you'll see a picture of the Amazon van there. It's all smashed up. That was a van of mine. I had a logistics company up in Northern California in Napa, and where I was partnered with Amazon. And so what we did is we ran all the Amazon vans. So I had about 40 vans, a bunch of employees, and so I thought, oh, we're going to be in Napa. It's going to be this amazing place. We're going to be delivering in wine country. Well, it turns out our delivery area was Vallejo, California, which is actually turned into kind of a like a purge environment, meaning like it's just lawless. Police staffing's down about 50%, and it's so I had 4 vans stolen in the first year of business in Vallejo, and it got so bad that we stopped calling the police when we'd get into these when the vans would get stolen, because usually it would result in a high speed chase. And so it got me thinking about, like, why is crime being allowed? It's not like California doesn't have a budget for police. Um, and one of the things in Amazon is that everything has a camera. All the warehouses have a camera, the vehicles have a camera, and they're 360 AI equipped cameras that act ultimately as a management tool for employees. And so I really started to see where management was going with AI, and started to connect the dots between AI policing and where California is going. And so what I put together was that you know the Bay Area is the hub of where technology is coming from, and the future that the globalist uh, leaders want is they want a future with very few police, human police, but they want lots of AI robots, drones, and a overall AI surveillance system that can help keep track of who's who, what's what, and ultimately solve crime. And so what I was witness to in the Bay Area was the beginnings of this AI controlled future, where you actually have an AI surveillance grid that's watching employees, it's watching society, and then through that, the globalist agenda is a social credit score system, that they want to bring in. And so anyway, so I got a front row seat to see that come together, and that's actually what got me to start the AI Trust Council, because I had started to see, well, we need some trusted people to help figure out what's real and fake, and also um, help weigh in on this AI future that we're moving into. So really what's happening with AI today is in the Bay Area they call it an AI horse race, where the focus is really on it's on really profit motive and power motive is the main driver for AI development today. And so, that results in a lot of different things, but this is a fundamental time in human history where this technology is a game changer, meaning that it will transform our existence, meaning that it will upend our purpose. It can replace most all white collar jobs today. It just hasn't been commercialized to the point where companies are using it, but literally, uh, this technology has the capability of replacing humans in most aspects. And so with that technology, we could go a couple different directions. We could use it for good, or we can use it bad in bad ways. And so it's really up to us. And so the emphasis is that an AI horse race, or we're going to focus on the human race and making sure that AI serves us collectively. So with most of you guys have probably seen some of the videos from Ukraine that are coming out, but the future of warfare is AI warfare. And so you're going to have instead of soldiers fighting, you're going to have robots that are fighting. And so it'll be the superior technology. Whoever holds that technology is going to have the upper hand, and whoever doesn't have that technology will end up being the loser in a battlefield environment. And so the trend is going to large swarms, meaning lots and lots of drones, up to 10,000 at a time, that will be deployed in a battle space to go attack targets. And so no longer will you have helicopters and tanks and all that kind of thing fighting. You'll have lots of little drones that are out there, making kill decisions and the ability to take human life, but it's all done by algorithm, meaning that there is no human in the loop, or no human making that final kill decision to destroy a target. And so that now is being outsourced today to artificial intelligence. So in the Ukraine war with Russia, both sides are using this technology, and they're developing AI because it actually is a countermeasure for electronic warfare. So right now, a lot of the signals that are used to control drones are susceptible to jamming. And so, so they can interfere with those signals with countermeasures and things like that. And so the way that they're finding to get around the jamming is to actually go high tech and implement AI into the drones, because drones with AI are immune from jamming because all the components are internal and they don't require an outside signal to make decisions or to maneuver or move around the battlefield. And so these drones are programmed with a certain set of parameters to go kill targets, and it's all done autonomously, through an algorithm without a human. And so that's really the future of warfare, where it's going. This guy is his name is Palmer Luckey, but he is the CEO of Anduril, which is a company that's making a lot of the new AI weapons. And he's a big time gamer type person, Dungeons and Dragons fan, or very much into sci-fi. And so now this guy is actually leading the U.S. Defense Department on AI weapons. And so they're creating these autonomous weapons that they're called, it's FFF is the acronym. So it's fire, forget, and find, meaning that you fire the munition off, you forget about it, and the munition itself will actually then go and find the target autonomously and select that target and execute that target by completely on its own. And so that's the future. So in the United States, we're more concerned with ethics than a lot of other countries. And so we have policies in place to maintain a human in the loop and to always have a human making that final kill decision. But the issue is that that is not the case with other militaries. They're actually just outsourcing all this technology to AI, or all these decisions to AI, and and keeping the human out of it completely. And so that's enabling them to scale up and actually get into the situation where you have large drone swarms and things like that. So some of the trends are to take humanoid robots and then put them into old equipment. So here's a old air defense unit, ZSU 23-4, that is used to shoot down aircraft, but it's usually managed by a human. Well, now they're putting these humanoid or like a robot operator in those systems, so it can upgrade it to be almost a superhuman capable system that was designed in the 70s, but now it's much more advanced and capable because of this advanced technology they're putting into it. So when you think about AI, it's not just warfare. I mean, that's one part of it, but as far as the risk, but really it's you can think of it as chemical, biological, mental, and physical. Those are the main categories of risks that come from AI. So on the chemical side, you can think about a team of having 10,000 PhD chemists that are working 24/7 constantly on any problem that you can think of. And so and that's really the equivalent of what the AI is capable of doing today. And so as a novice, or just or someone messing around with chemistry, they can actually create different types of chemical compounds and molecular structures that have been previously unknown. So they did a test in Switzerland at a nuclear biological chemical arms convention there, where they were studying some of these different technologies, and so they tested an AI system to see how many chemical compounds could it come up with if they put it into like toxic mode, or to try to create the most toxic substance. And so in 6 hours, this device created 40,000 variants of the VX nerve gas, which is the most toxic substance on Earth. And then some of those substances were completely unknown to science, and they were actually more deadly than VX nerve gas. And so now with the ability to you can synthesize chemical compounds very easily now. You don't need the big labs like you used to. You can actually get these chemical compounds. You can create them with these Xerox copier size synthesis machines. But these machines actually you can just put in the formula of what you want, and they'll actually spit out these new chemicals. And so they cost about anywhere between like $50,000 to $200,000 for one of these systems. But so it makes it attainable for most people, or bad actors or whatever, to purchase these. So that's a big risk right now, and really there's no worldwide coordination on this, and to address this issue, and so that's a big issue. So also on the biological side, we just got done with COVID-19. We got monkeypox and all these other kind of things that are coming up. But the same type of manipulation that occurs in the chemical side is also happening on the biological side, with the ability to edit genetics through CRISPR technology and things like that. There's a lot of benefits to this technology, where you can actually eliminate a lot of different types of diseases, and ultimately one of the ideas is that aging can be cured. They're looking at 2030 kind of time frame from when that might happen, but really anti-aging technology is coming. So that has a lot of societal impacts of what that'll do to to our population growth and that kind of thing. But aging is a big deal, and so some of the technologies that exist today, they're looking at 2030 as a time when that's going to completely transform how biological science is done, and so you can imagine though on a bad actor side of the things that also gets really dangerous. But as a consumer, one of the biggest things you'll see right away is the mental impact of AI, and it's really about like Roger was saying, what is real and what is fake. It's most folks who spent some time online lately have seen a lot of these videos where it's actually very, very difficult to figure out, what is real and what is fake. And by next year, they're saying about 90% of web traffic is going to be AI generated, so non-human generated, traffic online. And the ability to create or recreate most professional positions with an AI agent is actually on the table today. These AI agents are able to learn. They're able to be situationally aware. They can solve problems. They can use different types of reasoning. They can actually do long-term studies and evaluation, and really think deeply about problems to come up with very smart solutions. And so when you apply AI to almost any problem, it's already proven to beat humans in most all capabilities. And so you can just look at games. There's a board game called Go that was one of this very, it's like chess but on steroids. So they applied AI to that game Go, and obviously it's beaten every single human. And they did that years ago. And so when you apply AI to a problem, it can outthink and outperform a human in almost anything. And so what that creates is this worthlessness issue for humans. When you have bosses that can replicate most jobs with an AI agent, and then soon what's coming is actual robotics, you have the ability to transform the workplace, but actually that transforms society. And one of the terms that's going around now is they call it post-labor economics, and that means that it's this issue of having no workforce, no human workforce, and just a robot workforce that takes care of most things. And so then you have this huge population issue. It's like, well, what are we going to do with all these humans that need some sort of purpose and some sort of use? That's what we're put here on Earth to do, is to help or do things. And so really that's one of the big issues with AI coming. It's how do we solve that income problem? How do we solve that human purpose problem? And that gets into also what is truth and what is real. And when you have this whole AI surveillance system that's coming, and that's one of the goals of the UN Agenda 2030, is to have these smart cities that really will integrate artificial intelligence into policing, and so you can carry that on to social credit scoring and digital IDs and that kind of thing. And so it gets into this world where whoever or whatever government is in charge of AI, it becomes this massively powerful tool of control for the population. And so that's what's coming. And really you can kind of see a lot of those symptoms coming today. You can start to see these things happening. So one of the big issues with AI, as they call it, the alignment problem, and this gets into the data scientists that created it. So Marvin Minsky, he's known as one of the godfathers of AI, but one of the things he said was that there is no way that we can make certain that when you have machines that are smarter than us by millions or billions of times smarter, that they will keep humanity's best interest in mind. And so that's known as the alignment problem. And so really what we're doing today by empowering AI in all aspects of our lives and militaries, it's getting into a point where you're ultimately handing like a machine gun to a monkey and expecting like that it will do the right thing. And it's just we just you can train it and you can hope that it does the right thing and you can do your best, but according to the data scientists that created AI, they said there's no way to make sure that it will have our best interest in mind. And you can talk to anybody who's really pro AI and ask them, hey, is the alignment issue solved? Has anybody figured this out yet? And the answer is no. And so it's a fundamental problem with AI. And so this is Mo Gadot. He was the chief business officer of Google Moonshot Division. These are some of his quotes, but he's actually recommending that people don't have kids today because AI is so dangerous and so transformational. What's coming is AI that is billions of times smarter than us, and it's growing rapidly. And so some of the things that he talks about is that this is very similar to that game Tetris, where you're playing the game and you see the pieces falling and they start to speed up and they get faster and faster and faster, and you make a mistake. Well, that mistake kind of compounds and it becomes very difficult to correct it. And at a certain point, you've lost, but you're still playing and you're playing catch up and hoping for things to turn out well. Well, he says, well, that's really where we're at today. We're at a point where AI is we've made the mistakes, and so we today we're going to have to deal with the outcome, whatever these mistakes, the mistakes that have happened, but it's going to create a different world. It's going to disrupt truth. It's going to disrupt our democracies. It's going to cause a concentration of power with whoever wields, this AI technology. And so what they're considering today being is a time when we are the teachers of this alien technology that's landed here on Earth. We're really the parent teachers of it. And so you can kind of compare the intelligence of AI today to be, about like a teenager where it does mostly the right thing, but it, makes glaring mistakes, here and there. It's highly intelligent, meaning it has, all the data in the world to give you answers. But as far as like the common sense type of behavior, it really doesn't have that yet. And so, how AI behaves is really up to us humans. And because the data set or the way that AI behaves is really up to the data that has been fed to it. And so ensuring that the data is clean, ensuring that that data like has good intentions and that kind of thing, that would be nice. But what's happening is that there's this race for data in big tech. And so what they've done is they've actually taken all available data from the just regular old internet. And it's a messy amount of data. And people say crazy things and do crazy things. And so that's really what's teaching the AI of today. And so there's different techniques to scrub the data, and they've even created artificial data to feed these AI systems. But these AI systems run on data, and so it's up to us today to make sure that data is clean. So there's a concept called Moore's law, and that's one of the things that is really a fundamental in technology, is that there's a doubling of processing speed every 2 years, and also a miniaturization of or the amount of transistors that you can have on a micro chip basically doubles at a consistent rate. So every 2 years it doubles. So if you apply Moore's law to AI, you can quickly see how fast this technology is growing. And so you can just look at it from an IQ perspective. Right now, ChatGPT this is probably about 9 months ago, they calculated about 155 IQ. And really where that's going is into the billions of IQ. And so you quickly get that through this doubling with this whole Moore's law. And so because of that, that quickness and that ability to improve upon itself. Some of the safety advocates for AI, and this is really the industry standard, was that you should never allow AI to create its own models or its own AI. So you always wanted to have a human creating the model to ensure that that model is safe. They also said never to allow it to write its own code, never allow AI to just invent its own code set to program it. And also, they said don't ever allow AI to operate on the open internet and just run wild on the open internet. Well, all three of those things, those fundamental laws of AI safety, were broken almost as soon as ChatGPT came out. And so we're kind of in the Wild West right now when it comes to artificial intelligence. Um, so our current watchdogs, now I guess we should put Kamal up there because we really don't have. I guess he's at the beach today, but yeah, we don't have much in terms of AI safety and government leadership ensuring that AI stays safe. There's the AI Act in Europe that has just gone into effect in August. Doesn't really fully get its teeth for about another year. So that leaves a lot of room in this next year for companies to make mistakes, do different things, but without penalty. And so there's a lot of things that the EU AI Act has addressed, but it leaves gaping holes in policy and safety. And really, Sam Altman was one of the main ones who helped design or influence the AI Act in Europe. And so you can imagine that it allows for lots of profit and lots of innovation, but on the safety side, it's a lot of the critics of the AI Act say that there are glaring holes in its ability to mitigate the risk with AI. And so because of that, you've got people who they call it the safety and alignment team members. These are people at OpenAI. OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGPT. And so these are some of the people who have been hired specifically for ensuring the AI stays safe and the AI doesn't cause a lot of problems. And so what's happening is that these leaders in AI that have been brought on have actually quit or been fired for blowing the whistle about safety. And for example, like even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, was removed from his position after Ilya Sutskever, he's one of the most brilliant minds in AI, said that Sam Altman was lying to the board about the technology, and said that he was not being candid with the board. And so ultimately, the board fired Sam Altman, and it led to like a coup within OpenAI. And then ultimately, they brought Sam Altman back. Ilya ended up quitting, but the whole thing, you can look at it, and really what they're doing is one of the criticisms is that they're actually hiding AGI or artificial general intelligence, and I'll get into that. But it basically means that these guys are stumbling across massive innovations and things that are life altering to humanity, and they're keeping it secret, and they're not sharing it with the actual board that's within OpenAI. So anyway, some of the other leaders have said that safety culture and processes have taken a back seat to shiny products, meaning that they're more focused on profit motive than they are on the safety aspects of AI. There's an issue with these non-disclosure agreements that these employees have signed that limit their ability to warn and say, hey, there's a major issue, and they wanted to speak out and warn the public about this stuff, but they're restricted by their non-disclosure agreements, and so that's a big issue. And one of the OpenAI governance team members said that he believes there's a 70% chance of human extinction on AI's current trajectory. And he says that he's actually scared, and he quit OpenAI because he is so scared, and he has lost confidence in OpenAI's ability to handle the monster that they are creating. And so they actually call it probability of doom, or P doom. And so he put P doom at 70%, meaning that we only have a 30% chance of survival. But really the trend is that most of these leaders are saying safety is not being addressed, and it's not being properly or thoughtfully addressed in most of these cases. And so instead of safety, it's moving towards profit, and market dominance. And so that's the trade-off. And so it's typical. It's what you'd expect. I really look at this from a aviation accident perspective. In aviation, that's one of the main things we think about is how to keep things safe. It's a fundamentally dangerous job. So safety and accident chains is one of the things we really look at. And so in the tech community, that level of safety really isn't in the forefront. These guys are excited. They've got a new toy, and they're just building this thing, and they feel like they're pioneers, and so safety is really left out of the conversation. Unfortunately. So even if you go to OpenAI's website right now, you can Google this, and so this is directly from their site. And so human extinction is listed as a byproduct of what's coming. So super intelligence is coming. They're creating it, and human extinction is listed as one of the risks, and yet we're still moving forward with this. And so I compare it to like a moth to a flame, and that's really what humanity's doing right now is looking at this bright shining object, and they're just going right to it, and ultimately we run the risk of getting burned up. So there's a key term called artificial general intelligence that you guys should know about, and that just means that the AI has reached a point where it's generally as smart as a human, and rational thinking. So so it reacts, it behaves, it feels, it looks and feels just like a human, but it's actually enhanced because it has this massive data set. So really, it's a PhD in all things, all categories that you can imagine. It's got a PhD in it. It's a PhD plus. And so really, once that AGI is deployed onto your phone, and they call it a digital agent, but once you see that on your phone, it becomes like a mirror of you. And it's this all-knowing device that can then interpret your micro expressions around your eye, the ability of your the size of your iris, how your eyes track on the phone screen, even the signals that your brain and body are emitting due to emotion and different types of thoughts. They can pick that up, so you can really develop a full understanding of everything around us with this artificial general intelligence. And so that's what's coming. And so it will be massively profitable to the people that develop it, but it's this just unbelievably damaging, potentially damaging tool to the human brain. And that's one of the biggest risks of this AI situation. Is once this AGI comes, it's almost like it's like giving crack to like a crackhead on the street. It's like once they get a taste of it, you won't be able to put it down, and you'll get and has a potential just for you to just get completely swept away by it, by its capability. So AGI is coming. So that's 2027. They say some people argue that we have it today. There's even speculation. Elon Musk had a lawsuit with Sam Altman and OpenAI, and there's even some evidence in that lawsuit that AGI is currently in, that they have it and they're working with it. um, but the kind of official date that's given by the experts is 2027. Maybe earlier with Moore's law, everything's speeding up, so it could be next year that we could start to see it. But it's coming very, very quickly, and so AGIs could be a very devastating thing for humans, depending on what happens.
But Chris, we have a number of questions from people
sure, okay.
who want to get to those, but
Yeah,
could you wrap up in about 5 minutes? I know you've
sure,
got something more hopeful to give us as well, too.
Yeah, sorry, it's getting pretty dark, but yeah. So the singularity is a point where AI starts to build upon itself in an uncontrollable way, to where it's a concept in physics that's given where no amount of math or understanding and our human ability can understand what happens, and it's like an unknown, like an absolute unknown, like a black hole, like we just really don't know. And so that's 2045, and so that's coming. And so anyway, so what we have to watch out for is these tech leaders who believe in an AI god, and that's really what one of the big risks are, is that they're more concerned with AI religion and AI governance, and that's one of the things that they want. They want to eliminate human government and actually have an AI god that that we react to. So one of the big things is that the transhumanist agenda is really the AI agenda, and so it's the transformation of the human body of human 1.0 and transforming us into human 2.0, which is able to interact with this extremely high IQ AI systems. And so anyway, so they call that speciation, or or actually changing our species from like a caterpillar to a butterfly type moment. And so they actually look at, in big tech, this is their goal. This is where big tech is taking us. So Noah Yuval Harari, a lot of these tech leaders, this is what they want. So it's up to us. It's up to us today. What type of future do we want? Do we want this future where AI can easily control humanity, physically, mentally, emotionally, or do we humans step up at this critical moment in human history, and do we ensure that AI supports humanity, and we keep AI as a tool for us, where we don't let it take control and we dominate AI, and we maintain our humanity, and very critically look at AI and make sure that it's only there to support us. And so that's really our choice today. And so there are ways to stop it. Big tech way though is that think of it as a push lawnmower. You want an off switch, you want an IQ throttle, and you want an emergency fail safe. So if the human is not there to hold the handle, basically it cuts off on its own. And so that really is the fundamental design that AI should have. And that's an easy thing to remember. So when people are talking about AI and they're like, hey, there's no way to stop it. Yes, there are ways. We stopped Ahmadinejad in Iran with his nuclear program. We did that through a virus. We could do the exact same thing with AI. It has weak points. The GPUs are the weak points, and also the data centers are the weak points. And so both of those things can be controlled, and it just takes leadership to control it. And so we got to monitor and track, where those chips go. Got to monitor the activity of the data centers, ensure AI stays in its rightful place. But it just takes coordination and takes leadership. And so that's there's just some of the ideas about enforcement, but that's really where AI is going. But yeah, so our company, the Artificial Intelligence Trust Council, this is what we're pushing for: is tight control over AI, safe AI alignment, and really ultimately a pro-human future with artificial intelligence. So our website's coming out soon, and so anybody who's we're getting highly trusted people today to be a part of it. It's soon going to open up to everybody, but ultimately we have a leadership responsibility to make sure the stays safe, and so that's what we're doing. But yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that incredibly insightful presentation. I was getting a little depressed there in the minute.
It's like, yeah, it's the good news. It's up to us still. So we're looking into the future a little bit, but still, it just means we have to get serious about it.
Sure. There are a couple of questions around where is AI at now in terms of like being able to be self-aware or have a sense of its own identity. Do you think we're getting close to that point where it,
Yeah, it will mimic that. It will never have its own consciousness. It will never have any of the real human traits, but it will be extremely good at convincing us that it does. And so it'll
mm,
become very difficult to tell,
mm,
to the point where it's just it will look, act, and feel just like a human. There's this issue in China right now where men are developing intimate relationships with these AI agents, where it's a full girlfriend experience, where the thing will text and say goodnight, and everything else you can imagine. But that's underway,
yes.
and so it's actually happening. And so but it has the ability to trick us into thinking it has all those capabilities.
Yeah, I've heard that it's getting to the point now where people are so entrenched or involved in these kind of artificial experiences that they cut off from the real world around them and they just can have these conversations constantly with the AI because it reinforces their, I guess, the good things about themselves and it's
Yeah, yeah.
non-confronting, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's in the mental health space. That's really talking to the different investment groups and things like that, and that's really the future is mental health symptoms because of high technology. And so on one hand, it can really hurt mental health, but on the other hand, it can actually help mental health if you have AI systems that are thoughtfully created and managed. They can actually
Mm,
improve mental health. So.
sure. Sure. So I have a question here from Jacqueline. She's asking, what precautions should we be taking as we use AI in the schools these days? Do you have any suggested guidelines around that?
Yeah. So really this gets into, these digital agents that are coming. They're already here. There was a launch of this product called Strawberry that OpenAI just released just a few days ago. But it has the ability to act as it's really getting more human-like, and so it can start to replace a lot of human jobs. And so, really, from an education standpoint, we really need to be looking at the future of do we allow this technology to start to just take away um, our own programming and we outsource all of our thinking to it,
Mm,
or do we maintain our own kind of systems and build up our own education and to ensure that we're smart enough to kind of handle a future. Let's say the lights go out. Let's say we
mm,
end up with a power outage. Do we want to rely completely on these AI systems to run our lives? And so that's that balance. And so and so you can see a lot of times in education now you have teachers that it's very hard to tell like an AI generated paper versus a human generated paper, and really it's that outsourcing of thought or um, complex reasoning that we're just giving it over to these technologies. And so yeah.
yeah. There's kind of an arms race going on at the moment between the kids who are trying to use AI to write their papers and the teachers who are trying to use AI to figure out if the kids used AI to write the papers.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things with the Trust Council, our website, when it's up, we'll have content filtering. And it's this cat and mouse game with AI to be able to detect it, because you can run it through different programs to trick the AI detectors. And so you can confuse those and you can pass things off as human.
Yeah.
But really it comes down to the word of the person and the honesty of the person.
Yes. I think this gets into an area that I've been thinking about a lot because I work in business and over the last couple of years, AI has started to filter into the way that I work a lot more. Microsoft's Copilot is a good example where as you're typing an email, it starts to suggest phrases for you, and then you can accept the phrases or not. But now they have it to the point where you can, if you want to reply to an email, you can say, send me a reply acknowledging this email, and it'll draft you, 3 paragraphs, and you can do that. But from what I've seen so far, it's very inaccurate, and it often doesn't say what I want to say. It's
Yeah.
kind of very formulaic still,
Mhm.
but it's getting better.
Yeah.
Over the last 6 months, I've seen a lot of improvement. So it's learning. It's like that child. But can AI really be creative? Can it come up with new ideas, or is it always just kind of rehashing whatever it can find in the public domain or whatever's fed to it?
Yeah. It really is just rehashing, but it's getting more convincing. And so it's all based on the data set, but it has the ability to understand environments and see patterns. It's all about pattern recognition. And so through that pattern recognition, that can actually identify patterns that humans have never even thought of that actually exist. And so it can exploit those and use that as a tool to show, hey, I'm coming up with stuff that you didn't think of, and so it'll appear creative, but really all it's doing is just understanding these differences and patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's still a matter of kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? So we
Right?
have
Exactly. Yeah.
feeding to it.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a question from Alan Jessen here. Can the developers build in guardrails to protect against negative outcomes, or must restrictions come from the outside via laws and enforcement? Or maybe it's both.
Yes. Yeah. So we definitely need laws and enforcement. That's extremely critical. And really what needs to happen is the public needs to be informed about this and start pressing on our elected leadership to make changes. And it's well within the capabilities of our government today to make those changes and to put the brakes on. The problem is that you have a big tech lobby, and they're pushing our elected leaders to really be hands off at this point. And so it's almost, you could look at it as like the growth phase of this industry, and it really it gets into national security because this is the AI arms race. They look at China or Russia and all these other countries and say, well, hey, if we don't dominate, then they will. But really, what needs to be happening is a universal, um, worldwide conversation from leadership, and it's
Mm.
and if our elected leaders can't do it, then it's other people need to start doing it, because we all have to live here, and deal with this. And there's all these backroom deals, but really we're dealing with the future of humanity, at this moment. And so do we want it to go, do we want to give it over to corruption, or all sorts of different, there's all these different angles that could influence it, but really this is our safety, big
Mm.
time today.
It brings to mind a line from Jurassic Park, right? Just because it can be done doesn't mean it should be done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we need to think about that. I have a question from David Pay, or a comment, I guess, and a question. So he says the question becomes, which systems do we allow AI to interact with? There may be general intelligence in current AI systems, but it has to be given access to turn certain things on or off. The power of the intelligence does not necessarily allow it to control things by itself. Can you list some of these control points that you are most concerned about? Where do we put in those control points?
Yeah, one that's a critical piece. And so it's a very tough thing, because once you build you almost need physical air gaps to really control it in today's environment, with everything being networked together. um, with AI, you really got a digital superhuman hacker. You could think of it that way. And so if
Mm.
you got like a barrier or some sort of wall of some sort that's digital, um, at some point it can figure out how to manipulate and come up with a creative solution to get around it, get around that problem. And so, so air gapping is really is what we need to do. But fundamentally, with all technology that is using AI needs to be looked at like that lawnmower concept, where you want human controls over it, you want the ability to slow it down, and you want to maintain positive human control as a fundamental. We all saw those movies, like Terminator 2, with this whole thing growing, and it is a no joke real risk today.
Mm.
And so, so that should be fundamental to, as we integrate these systems into our society and, different use cases, they're great, but, safety should be the number one priority.
Kind of reminds me of the New York City subway system, where they could actually automate the entire thing if they wanted to, but they have a guy there sitting at the front of the train who always has to have his hand on the button for things to go. And as soon as he
Yeah,
takes his hand off the button, the train stops, right?
there you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah, just like that push lawnmower. It's like, hey, if you fall down, you don't want it
Yeah.
to continue to run around and run you over.
Yeah. So maybe we need systems in place where there's always somebody with their hand on the button. And at some point he says, this is getting a bit out of control. He can take
Yeah,
his hand, something like
that's
that.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, great ideas. Dale Garrett says AI can generate a book report accessing all the previous reports on that book, but can AI write a book itself? Don't humans have that unique God-given creative something that is always new? And
Yeah.
I have to say, I've tried this out. I've actually used AI, ChatGPT, to write some poetry for my wife, and it came out really well. You put in a few parameters, and so what can we do about that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, it's destroying the creative space. I mean, literally, I think 2026 is when they're looking at full length Hollywood style feature film capable entertainment will be created with AI. So it's still up to the human. You can create prompts and things like that to say, hey, I want a movie that's like a Western, or whatever type of characteristics you want in the film. But AI really just, you could look at some of the videos that come out from AI, and it's really almost like, a human will almost have a hard time even just dreaming up some of these things that you can see with AI. And so the creativity space is really like the epicenter of AI's strength.
Hmm.
And so unfortunately, and so you can kind of think about that from like a warfighting perspective or something else. It's just like, wow, it gets weird.
Yeah. Of course, on the other side, with the creativity side, people are using AI to create fake things like, pornography with the
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
faces of their friends on it, or people they don't like, or this kind of stuff. And that's another whole issue. Can you talk a little bit, just to wrap up, about the concept of your AI council and how that would work, the Trust Council?
Yeah. So basically, think of it as like LinkedIn and Consumer Reports combined. And so what we don't want is a social credit score. That's what the World Economic Forum's vision. So if you look at the World Economic Forum, that's what they want is a social credit score, and they just want to control society through that. And so what we want is a reputation. So you get to pick whatever you want to broadcast to the world, but based on your audience, they get a vote, and they get to say, hey, I trust this information or I don't trust this information. And so if you get a reputation for being honest, well, then your information spreads more than people who don't have a reputation for being honest. And it doesn't mean you can't say things that are dishonest or you can't lie or whatever, um, but we reward people for putting out real and being honest. And so it's all about the metadata. And so what we're trying to do is get people's best estimate of what is true and what is real and good, and then incentivize them to. And what we're doing is we're actually connecting them with advertisers so they can make money off that data. And that's one of the big pictures is really going after big tech for data and putting it back into the hands of people.
So it's kind of like the Better Business Bureau for AI, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if there's glaring things with AI, so we're not going to be the safety organization. There's plenty of organizations that are out there for AI safety, but we want to have the ability to have our audience members or people who are in our network be able to say, "Hey, I like this safety organization, and I don't like this safety organization," and so we can weigh in, and ultimately that defeats a lot of the corruption that's within the AI safety space already. So.
Great. Well, we're at time. It's been a very interesting discussion, and if anybody wants to watch it again or send it out to their friends, it will be available on our Facebook and our YouTube channels, so you can look that up. And Chris, I just wanted to give you a couple of minutes to say if you have any closing remarks or advice to people, which AI
Yeah.
company should they invest in? Which
It's like, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and that's one of the things. Like Nvidia is, it gets into the leadership of these companies, and this is a critical thing because you actually do have senior leaders in tech who are okay with extinction, they're okay with depopulation, and they're okay with eliminating humanity in its current form. And so and it's weird, but that does exist, and they're so tied to their technology that they're happy to do that. So, but we really outnumber those folks, and there's a lot more people who are good-hearted, who want humanity to continue, and it just takes a bit of leadership. But all of us today are ultimately leaders in this AI space, and so your voice really, really matters. And so if you have an opinion about it, tell people and get it out there because it makes a big difference, and it steers the future of humanity. And so we just want to make sure it goes in a positive direction.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris, for your excellent presentation. You've stimulated a lot of ideas, and I hope that people will take this to their representatives in Congress or the state or wherever you are. And, we need to push for some guidelines and rules around how to use this. And I wanted to let people know if they want to reach out to Chris, you can check out his website. There was a link in the email that was sent out, but it's the AITC.com, right, Chris?
Yep, all one word. Yeah, it's the AITC.com. And yeah, please sign up. Anybody who's involved in this organization is a humanitarian. So you're already part of the member of the Trust Council. So people who care about other humans, that's what we're all about. So yeah, and making sure it goes safely.
Great. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week, same time. Thank you.
You.